Hello, my name is Aaron Dennis, and for my workshop video one project, I'll be covering Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is a horror game that came out in 2016, and to help you sort of understand how this game works, the objectives and stuff like that, we'll take a look at the DFA diagram. And so Dead by Daylight, there's 5 players on the map at one time, and 4 of these players are survivors, and 1 of them is a killer. This diagram here is from the perspective of a survivor. So our objective as a survivor is to escape, and that's one of the final states. The other final state is we could die if the killer prevents us from escaping. So anyways, in order to escape, what we need to do is turn on the power. You can see here. So in order to turn on the power, we need to repair generators. And there's 7 generators on the map, and we need to repair 5 of them in order to get the power on and escape. So let's just sort of walk through this diagram. Imagine we don't have to worry about the killer for now. Say he's on the other side of the map or something. We'll start out in a lurking state. So what that is we're going around sort of looking at generators, assessing, do we want to try to repair them? Is it too risky? Do we want to go find a different one? That type of thing. We just want to stay away from the killer. But anyways, say we find a generator that we want to work on and repair. That we'll get this sort of input of repair, and we will continue to repair the generator until either we complete it, or else if the killer does find us, then we'll have to try to run away and evade the killer. So we'll be in this evade state. If we're in the evade state, we'll continue to evade as long as we're continuing to be chased by the killer. But if the killer, I guess eventually one of 2 things is going to happen. Either we're going to escape, in which case we'll go back to sort of that lurking phase or state, or alternatively, the killer will catch us and we'll be dead. And in the dead phase, the game isn't completely over yet because you can be revived by your teammates. But if you die 3 times, then that's it. You're out of lives, and that will be the sort of final accept state. Anyways, so you can continue to see how it sort of just goes in a circle here. If you die, you get back to life, and you continue to work with your teammates, the other survivors, until you can repair that 5th generator. At that point, the power will come on, and as long as you are not dead, you will move into this escape state where you try to open the door and run away and escape the map. And if that happens, you win. So anyways, let's move on to the, whoops, that's not the right thing. There we go. Sort of the 5 phases here listed out with their names, and then the inputs. This is kind of like the alphabet here, because there's only, it's simplified down to, it only takes 5 different inputs. And depending on what your initial state is and the input, that will sort of determine what state you move to. And so this diagram, or this table here, is just sort of I guess the table version of this diagram. And I guess we can walk through like one little example here. Say we start out in a lurk state, that's the initial state, and we get the repair input. Now we're in the fixed state where we're repairing those generators. And then you can, if I tried to color code this, if we're in the fixed, the blue, you can easily see now we're sort of here. And if we get we're waiting on one of these inputs, and then once we do get one of these inputs, that'll tell us again where we're going to move to. And again, just say we get a killer chasing input, that'll move us into an evade state. And again, this is kind of nice just because you can see, so say we're back in the evade state. If we can get one of those inputs, we'll move to one of these 4 stages or phases. And so for example, say we're in an evade state. Depending on what input we get, we can move to any phase except there's no blue here. So we can't move from an evade to a fix. And then if we check the diagram, that's true because if we're evading, we can move to an escape if the power comes on. We can move to a lurk if we evade the killer, and we can move to being dead if we get caught by the killer, but there's no way to get back to a fix. In order for that to happen, we would have to sort of evade the killer, or get killed and then get revived, and then move back over from the lurk state into the fix state. But anyways, and then at some point during, I guess during the game, we'll move to either a dead state or an escape state, and then we'll move sort of down here into this lower section. And one of these 2 states is the final state. So I guess you continue throughout these top states here until you reach down here into the accept states. It is worth noting that once you are dead, again, you can come back, but you don't always come back. If it's your 3rd time, you will end up in one of these 2 states here eventually. And I guess just to summarize everything here, we have 5 states, and this is the alphabet. Those are the 5 input characters. And then this table here will tell you exactly what to do based on your current state and your input. And I've developed all of this into C++ code as well. So if we're going to take a look at it here, I guess we'll start with the class declaration here. We've got, I don't know, just the basic stuff. This is kind of used just to track that current state in the private variable there. And then again here, if you look at these 5 functions, member functions here, those are the same 5 inputs as we had it back here. And moving into the definitions, I guess we can start here. So let's look. Say we are in say the current state is anything but dead, and we get an input signal of the power being on. Then we will move to an escape state, and then it'll print out this message: power has been restored, open the door and try to escape. Similarly, if we are starting in a evade state, and I'm sorry, I did that wrong. If we're starting in one of these 3 states, lurk, fix, or evade, and we get a killer chasing input, that will move us to evade. And then we will run away or try to hide. The killer is after you. That message will be printed out. If we start in either the lurk or the fix state, and we get a repairing input signal, we'll move to the fix state, and we'll get the repairing generators message. Again, similarly, if we start out in an evade state and we get a caught input signal, that will move us to a dead state. We'll get the message, you are dead, wait for teammate to revive you. And then this one is a little bit more complicated, but still not too bad. Oh, it's also easier if we start down here for this one. Say we're currently in any state except for escape. So if we're either dead, lurking, fixing, or evading, and we're moving into the basically moving into the lurk state, we'll get the message here for lurking. And up here, what this does is it'll basically tell you if you're coming from a different state, you'll get a different message. So again, and this is if you get the completed signal, input signal. So it'll tell you, if you're coming from a dead state and you get completed, it'll say you've been revived. And if you've starting from fixed and you get completed, then it'll say the generator's been repaired. And if you start from evade and you get a completed signal, then you've evaded the killer. And then it'll sort of print out that you're back into that lurking state, which is kind of like the base state. And so then we go, I guess, back to the main function. And one more thing is when we first declare a player object, it also starts out in the lurking phase, which reflects how it is in the actual game. You start out in that phase. But anyways, so we start out, we give them a welcome message and declare a player. So we start out in the lurking phase. And we basically start out here and we just take inputs. That's all we do. Any of the 5 that are in our alphabet will be recognized. And then at the end, we get a little game over message, and that's pretty much it. So I guess we'll test it out here and run the code. And then I guess you can sort of follow along here. We get a welcome message. And then if you look on the left there, under the comment where it says gameplay, I'll just sort of read those one at a time, and then you can follow along in this black and white box. So first of all, we get a repairing signal, and then, or no, I'm sorry. First of all, we declare the player, so it says that we're lurking. Then we get a repairing signal, repairing the generator. We get a killer chasing signal, and then it says run away or try to hide, the killer is after you. Then we get a caught signal, you're dead. And you can see it just kind of follows along this pattern. If you complete that, this time it's gonna give 2 messages because it was like that final function there. We're coming from a dead state, so that's this time we'll get the revived message, and then we'll go back to lurking. Moving along, repairing generator. We get the killer chasing signal twice there. Once we complete that one, again, we're going to get 2 messages this time. This time we're coming from the evade input signal, so we're going to go to evade that you evaded the killer, and then back to a lurking state. Then you can see we've got 2 more repairing signals, and then we completed it. So every time we complete it, we're going to get 2 messages. Generator has been repaired this time because we're coming from a fixed state, and then we go back to lurking again. And then the killer chases us one more time, and then the teammates must have powered on the last or 5th generator because the power has been restored, and we move to that escape phase, and that's sort of the end of the game once you reach the escape phase. So that's kind of the extent of my project here. The C++ code, it works really well, and got this cell, nice little state diagram, and then we got the actual DFA diagram here. And so that's the extent of my project. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you have a good